3, 2.
This was no ordinary Saturday in Beijing. This was International Pillow Fight Day.
2 years ago, it was stopped by the police. So I was also curious to see if this year this is going forward and if people will have the opportunity to have fun in the street.
I think 2008 was a sensitive year. It was the Olympics, so.
And there were like 4 armored cars, 1 ambulance, and there were like maybe around 3 dozens of policemen there. And that was a time when there was a chaos in Tibet.
At that time, the China Daily was Beijing's only English-language newspaper. It didn't write a line about the standoff.
I intend to write a story anyway if it is shut down. I will tell you.
Ever since the Global Times was launched a year ago, it's been pushing the envelope. Last June, the state-authorized newspaper broke a taboo. It wrote a story on the 20th anniversary of the bloody 1989 crackdown on students in Tiananmen Square. The headline was typical for stories challenging the state censors. It innocently talked about the prosperity along the central boulevard that tanks once rolled down. The Global Times regularly writes about citizen protests and government abuses of power. It's outspoken about violence against reporters. It writes about censorship and media freedoms. As China's economic influence grows, the government is eager to have its voice heard around the world. So it's expanding the nation's foreign language media.
China doesn't have very, very influential newspapers or other kinds of media outlets. We hope to be the strongest English language newspaper in Asia, and I think that's possible.
To reach that goal, the Global Times is giving foreign reporters a bigger say in the newsroom. Foreign nationals account for nearly half the staff.
If there is a fight, great, we'll have a story and photos. If there isn't, I hope
the interaction between the foreigners and the Chinese will have an impact on the quality of a news reporting, and it eventually will have influence on the news reporting in China.
The government is also asking officials to abandon their typical secrecy and become more outspoken. And it's turning to international public relations firms for help. Scott Cronick, president of Ogilvy's China operation, conducts training for government spokespeople.
And what we tell them is transparency is necessary. We tell them that all news doesn't have to be rosy. That's something new to the Chinese government, because when they spoke before, everything was just wonderful, but they've begun to get comfortable with the communication of bad news.
That's a welcome trend for reporters at the Global Times. At an editorial meeting, an old-school fluff story about Chinese interest in foreign art was shot down.
You don't have a theme. You really don't have a topic.
There's no angle.
There's no angle.
Okay.
A story about controversial webcam striptease in the privacy of an individual's home got a thumbs up.
I'd like to find some people who do this. by men and by women.
But despite such breakthroughs and greater openness on the streets of Beijing, other taboos remain firmly in place. When it comes to censorship, the Global Times bans staff from talking about it. Sharing the information with foreigners could lead to charges of leaking state secrets or a jail term.